welcome. Thank you for spending some of your time with us. My name is Tina Rosenquist, and this is Knowledge for Wellness. And this show is to better inform you, because when you know more, you are empowered to make better decisions for yourself and your loved ones for a better quality of life. And today I am delighted to present Sandy Greenquist, and she is a nurse midwife, and she is the founder and director of the Menopause Center of Minnesota, located in St. Paul. Welcome, Sandy.
Thank you. It's awfully good to be here.
I am so delighted that you could join us, and
Thanks.
You have so much information to give our viewers. So I know I've done a little bit with your colleague, Becky Mendoza.
Right.
And that was a great run. We were all both starting together and doing something pretty wonderful, getting out this information to the viewing public. But I want to know a little bit about you and your love and your passion and why you decided to open up the Menopause Center of Minnesota.
Well, I'm a nurse midwife, as you said, by background, and what I found as I was getting older and having a hard time finding information about the changes that were going on and the issues I was having, and my clients whose babies I'd been delivering for years were also getting older and asking me questions I didn't have good answers for.
Oh.
And that really was my trigger to start looking. And I got involved using bioidentical hormones, which are much more well known now, but at that time were not so well known. And but I was so happy with the results, and just eventually, over time, was doing more and more menopause and less babies, and finally decided when I was 55 that I was old enough not to stay up all night anymore.
Oh, okay.
Catching babies.
Right.
So opened the Menopause Center, and we first were at a hospital, or associated with a hospital, but then we moved over, Becky and I moved over and opened the private practice, the Menopause Center of Minnesota in St. Paul just a year and a half ago, actually.
Okay, that's
Yeah.
great, and it's going well, I hear?
It's going very well. It's such a need, and there are so many women who are perimenopausal. Well, actually, they come to us at any point along the way because either they're new and looking for information and what can I do, or they've been in it for a while and often are very frustrated with the lack of information, the lack of knowledge and experience on the part of their more traditional care providers. So what we try to do is provide a real full knowledge about what's going on and what are safe options, what can they do so that they can feel good, and what is that knowledge for wellness. I think that's a terrific title and sure fits what our goal and our mission is.
Yes, thank you. That's great. Yeah. Also, I wanted to touch a little bit about why bioidentical hormones. I know when I went in and, all of my friends were doing, the synthetic and, one patch fits all type of thing. And then I had my own personal experience. What about your own personal experience of, why bioidentical hormones?
Well, when I first started working in menopause, all the women who I saw as patients, if they had ever been on hormones, they had been on synthetics, because that's all that was readily available. And what I found was women having a lot of side effects. Many of them did not continue on their hormones for very long. And we were just starting to see research then about how important the hormones are in heart health, bone health, so many things. So there was a real concern for me of, if this is something important for me to have in my body, then I'd like to feel good while I'm taking it.
Yes.
And it made so much more sense to me that if what I'm putting back in my body is exactly like what was there before, and that's the whole key in the bioidenticals, is that the molecule is exactly the same as the molecule that our body's made. So they fit right back into the hormone receptors. They work the same way that our own hormones did, and so the outcomes are so much better. And besides the long-term benefits then of just generally better health and healthy aging.
Yeah. That's great, because I know as we do age, we want to feel good.
Absolutely, and unfortunately we outlive our hormone. I mean, it's fortunate that we that we live, but our bodies weren't made to have hormones for longer than about 50 years. Now we live 30 to 50 years longer than that.
Right.
So when we don't have the hormones, our bodies can't function in the same way. And anybody who's experienced it knows there's quite a dramatic change, and many dramatic changes that can come as the hormones decline.
Right. Well, I know we all want to go ahead and proceed with our lives in a lot better way and feeling all good
Definitely.
and healthy, because then you can give back to the family too.
Oh, sure.
When you feel good, it shows. And what I'd really like to talk to you about today is stress, you know, and also, you know, the effects it has on our health and how it affects the adrenal function. So in your professional opinion, of course, do you think the adrenal fatigue is more common in menopausal women, or are we all menopause women at risk for adrenal fatigue?
It's really hard to know just exactly which is first there, the stress or the hormonal changes and how that all rolls together. But I think that midlife is a time that we are definitely very susceptible to adrenal fatigue. That can start just because our hormones are changing, because there's a very definite overlap and quite an interplay between the sex hormone system and the adrenal hormone system, and they rely on each other. So if one is out of balance, as our sex hormones will be, our reproductive hormones in perimenopause and beyond, that has an impact on the adrenal glands as well. But also it's the result of the way that we live our lives. And we tend to be busy people. We have, you know, many of us have work that we do every day, but we also have families or other obligations. Many of us have children who are leaving home or coming back again. You know, partners, if we still have a partner. Many women by this time don't have partners anymore. Or our partners are also getting older, they're having health problems. So there are a lot of other factors that come in there to cause more stress, and the more stress we have, the more likely we are to eventually get to the point of adrenal fatigue.
Right. So I know a lot of our viewers aren't, of course, nurse or midwives, so it'd be great if you could explain to them where the adrenal gland is.
Sure. The adrenal glands sit right on top of the kidneys. Their whole function is to help our body respond to stress. So anytime we meet any sort of stress, whether it's large or small, the adrenal glands put out a hormone called cortisol. And many of you have heard about the fight or flight syndrome, and that's really what this is about, is that when there's stress, our body gets ready either to flee or to fight. And the adrenals are what drive the changes in our body that make those things possible. But if we do that over and over and over again, they aren't able to keep up. And it doesn't have to be big explosive kinds of stress. It can be just the day-to-day grind of trying to do all the things that we do and get everything done.
Or even getting stuck
in traffic,
yes.
or, you know, if that's what you were going to say.
Yes, it was.
Yeah,
yes.
Anything like that. You're running late for an appointment, and you know how you feel your heart pound, and your digestion will slow down then, and all sorts of things happen in that situation because your body is working hard on just trying to get you past that stress. And actually, one of the biggest stresses on our bodies, and this is something I've been learning more about lately, is our blood sugar control. Every time our blood sugar drops down, that stresses our body, because our body doesn't know whether we're going to eat in an hour or whether this is a fast and we're not going to eat for another day. So we get that same adrenal pumping of cortisol, and our body is ready for whatever needs to come. And so eventually what happens is the adrenals can't keep up with the demand, and our cortisol levels first get higher while things are really churning, trying to keep up, and then they start to get lower. And the kinds of